Hey everyone, my name is David Irwin. I am a designer and graphic designer, small business owner out of Toronto, Canada. Um, Today, in this video, I want to talk to you about where I go on the internet when I want to learn something new. There's a couple of resources that I always go to, and if I want to learn a specific skill, how I research that. So for instance, the very first thing that I will do is I will go to, obviously, the Wikipedia article, and I'll read through the Wikipedia article. At the very bottom, they generally have references. I'll go to those references and I will look them up. But there's some actual, like that will give me a generic overview and some specific things that I can research. There are some actual online tools and online marketplaces that I go to if I want to learn something in particular. So when I wanted to learn design, there was very specific places that I went to learn that. I didn't go to college to learn design. It was something that I picked up after doing a marketing course online as well. I thought, well, if I'm going to be doing this marketing thing, then I may as well learn how to make the assets that I'm going to use during my for the marketing job that I wanted to go for. Now, I never actually went in to that marketing job, but that's not the point. It just wasn't for me. I found design and I went down that lane instead. It was something that I became, and I hate this word. I don't like using it, but it's something that I became passionate about. And the reason I hate the word is that I think a lot of people use that word nowadays to, they overuse it. It's become saturated and it doesn't mean as much. I think instead of talking about how passionate you are, you should just show the world how passionate you are through your work itself. But that's I'll rant about that another day. Today it's about the tools that I use when I want to learn something new. So after I have my Wikipedia investigation done and I've gone to a couple of websites and I've looked it up, what I'll do is I will go to YouTube and I will type in whatever that thing is, tutorial, and I'll get a very specific list of tutorials that I can dip my feet into and just try and figure out the very basics of what it means to work in this particular field or with these particular tools. So for instance, when I wanted to learn the Adobe CC, any of the applications that they use, Photoshop, a heavy Illustrator, or Audition for podcasts, other of the XD. I do a lot of their live XD tutorials and work-alongs. I watch a lot of them. But when I wanted to do that, I went to YouTube and I initially looked up X tutorial, and it showed me just various different lessons that I could take and use to learn the system. When I wanted to move to a more structured, after I had gone through the YouTube thing, I wanted to move to a more structured learning path. I went to the library to look up some references, see if they had run any courses. And I'm currently in Toronto, Canada, Ontario, and through the Ontario library system, Toronto library system specifically, I got access to lynda.com. Now, I've used lynda.com in the past, but it was paid previously. I bought some courses for a very small fee, but even still, I bought some courses. It's how I describe lynda.com to people that who don't know and people who have never used it is a corporate training website. That's basically what they are. They take industry professionals and they put those industry professionals in videos and tutorials and they teach the very basics of their subject, from beginner level all the way up to expertise level. Now, I don't know exactly what that means, but to me, what it means is that I'm learning processes and the the background for any particular subject that I wanted to learn. So for instance, I should say, when I wanted to learn graphic design, I went on to the lynda.com. I went on to the Toronto Library, signed into lynda.com through the library, which is free, which is very important. And they have these learning paths that you can take. I've done design thinking, graphic design, video editing, web design. What else have I done? I've done audio engineering stuff, learned a little AutoCAD. There's just so much on that site that's given away for free through the library that I think it would be a benefit to absolutely anyone who is in Ontario or even has access through their own local library. And I think it's something that it is generally around either North America or the US and Canada. I think it's pretty ubiquitous in the larger cities. But besides that, there's some things that we can do to, if you don't actually have access to lynda.com. That is something that I use, and it's something that I find very beneficial to learn the very basics of a subject if I want to go and do that subject in a professional manner. The last thing that I do is I will go to the likes of unfree markets. So unfree doesn't really make sense, but what I mean to say is that the courses cost far less than the amount of information or the amount of value you get from them. So for instance, udemy.com. I did a course when I wanted to be for my day job. I'm a Salesforce administrator, and when I wanted to learn Salesforce administration, I went to salesforce.com, and this was before they had released their Trailhead training. I went to salesforce.com, and they wanted $8,000 from me for a 4-week course or something. I don't have $8,000 to drop on a Salesforce certification. So I went to udemy.com and I bought a course for $21. That basically cut the $8,000 course, put it into an 8-hour course, and I learned that. I went through it maybe 4 times, so 8 hours 4 times, by this guy called Mike Wheeler. I passed my Salesforce administrator first time a month after I had started that course. So, there's tools out there, and there's some expertise working in the field making these courses for a lot cheaper than the value that they could possibly potentially give you. Another thing that I do, I watch a lot of webinars. For instance, the Adobe Design Together ones that they do on YouTube and Behance. I watch a lot of these nearly free webinars where you might have to pay a couple of bucks to actually log in and speak with experts. And the good thing about it is that you do get to speak to them. You get to interact. It allows you to ask questions. They'll answer questions. A limited amount of questions, obviously, because there's probably 100 people in those webinars. But here's the thing. You go to them, and your thoughts and the questions that you have are probably questions that other people are going to have anyway. So even if you don't get to ask the question, the information will probably be given to you in the first place. The last thing that I did, and this is not something that I recommend, but it is something to say that I don't always make the best decisions when it comes here, and there are some limitations, is instructor-led courses. Now, I signed up to a place called Shaw Academy, and I enjoy the courses that they do, but it's less, I found it to be less valuable than the courses that I got through lynda.com. Now, I still use them, and Shaw Academy is a small instructor-led company based out of Ireland. I'm obviously from, so I wanted to support them. I signed up for their, I think it was like a lifetime connection, and I've done a couple of courses through them that I enjoyed, a couple that I haven't, but it's not the point. All I wanted to say was that there are instructor-led courses that you can take out there where you sign into a classroom once, twice a week, and you speak to a teacher who will walk you through those courses, and it's very like an online college. I think of it like you are signing in and someone is giving you a lecture, and very like in college where you have a professor who may not answer questions and wants you to just read from the book. It can be very like that, where they'll try their best, but there's a limited amount of things that they can do. Very like the webinars that I first mentioned. You may not get the questions that you wanted answered, but you can always, the good thing about Shaw Academy that I will say is I could always email, and I can always email them my questions about anything, and they will generally get back to me within the first 24 hours. The last thing that I will do is if there's something that I want to read, or if there's a particular book that I feel that I need to have in order to get through a course. So like if I'm doing a PMP, or if I'm PMP like project management, if I'm doing the Salesforce admin, for instance, you can see behind me here, this side, sorry, that I have a design book there. That design book I picked up in a second-hand bookstore for, I think it was $10 at most, but it has a recommended retail price of $50, which was amazing. And I've gotten a lot of the textbooks that I use, or reference books that I use for my graphic design, in order from those secondhand bookstores. I've also gone through the Toronto Library to pull any particular reference books that I need to for a particular job or anything like that. I can pull from the library, which is obviously very free. And if you have a library close to you, or any online library resource that you can use, I highly recommend it. So these are the online tools and the tools that I use to learn a new system. So to recap, first thing I do, go to Wikipedia, look up articles from the Wikipedia page, look at the sources, go through a list of them, try and figure out the very basics of the course that I want to learn. Second thing that I'll do, go to YouTube, take certain keywords from the Wikipedia page, put that X tutorial. I'll look at maybe 10, we'll talk not even 10 hours, 3 hours of YouTube video. And if you are like me at all, you know that you can sit on YouTube for far longer than and watching terrible BuzzFeed videos than you would even think possible in your day-to-day routine. If you just take a week of that and do this X plus tutorial, you will learn far more about that course through people on YouTube than, not course I should say, subject, from people on YouTube. And you'll find some great creators as well to get you more comfortable with the actual subject itself. The third thing that I do is I go through the Toronto Library website, and if this is available to you, perfect. If not, there are other things that we can do, like go to lynda.com directly. But I'll go through the Toronto Library to lynda.com. I will look up that subject matter and see if they have any courses on it. The great thing about the likes of lynda.com and Udemy and Coursera is that they are structured. So I find a lot of problems with YouTube is that you are just typing subject matter plus X, so it's not structured. With Udemy, they are structured like a course. You learn it in a linear fashion, which some people love, some people hate. I still think it's valuable. The nearly free options that I'll use, I go to udemy.com, which is great because they do a lot of like sales and 90% off, 50% off that you can take. So if a course costs $50, you can more than likely get it for $5 eventually. That generally happens once a month. They'll have a sale, you'll go. Totally worth it. I use online webinars, and that can be harder to find, but if you just like hashtag designer or hashtag whatever your subject matter is into Twitter, you can generally find someone teaching something. Ask a couple of questions, find out. Nearly free option 3 is my Shaw Academy instructor-led courses, and you can find them online. I use Shaw Academy. It's not affiliated, like not an affiliated link. It's just something, or not affiliated link. I'm not advertising them. I'm not paid to advertise them, I should say. But they are something that I use. It's an online resource. It's totally worth it. And I don't know if it's totally worth it. That might be a bit strong. It's not my favorite resource. Obviously, I like the lynda.com because it's through the library and it was free. But maybe if I hadn't have had that option, Shaw Academy would be higher on my list. Because lynda.com then becomes nearly free, cheap. Wow, you get me. The last thing that I'll do is the secondhand bookstore, or the library itself. If you don't even have a secondhand bookstore near you, these books can get expensive. So having that option is very, very worth it. Now, I'm in Toronto. There are tons of secondhand bookstores here. You've got your BMV, you've got your value books, you've got small independent stores. So there's options for me. If that is not the set, and I know in Dublin, where I'm originally from, you've got your chapters. Eason's might be a bit more expensive. You've got the Dublin Reference Library. You've got the colleges that you can go through if you're in college at all. So there's things, the ways and means you can get these books. So they're the resources that I use when I want to learn something new, and how I began my graphic design and marketing. Well, marketing I did in college, but afterwards I learned more from online tools than I did in college itself, mostly because curriculums are old and they don't necessarily progress all that great, especially if you're in a smaller college. Rant over, not the point. These are the tools that I use every single day in order to learn new things. Right now I'm learning for my day job. I have to learn some project management stuff. So I went to lynda.com, I went through the library, I'm going to learn some project management stuff. I'll still have to go, in order to call myself a project manager, I'll have to go and get a P&P. But if I just want to learn the subject to make my job easier, or help me with the business that I run, which is a graphic design business, then I can just learn those skills. That doesn't necessarily have to have a P&P next to my name in order to use those skills or use that information that I've learned through these courses. It's been the same. It's been that way forever. Before there was accredited institutions and you wanted to learn something, you went to someone, you asked them how to teach you, and then you became that thing because they taught you. Now you can go to institutions or people online, ask them questions, learn that subject, become that thing. You don't need permission. You don't need a piece of paper. I think it's totally worth it. I think those are the free or nearly free options that I use. I think I'll leave instructions in the doobly-doo below, and if you use any particular resources that you think would be interesting to me or something that you think I could use, do let me know. I'm always looking for more tools to learn and use. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this rant. I'll be doing a few more of these in future, and I hope you enjoy learning, and I hope it was of value to you. Cheers.